Hello, friends. I am sharing today's Time for All Ages story from a different place than usual. I'm not in my living room, and I think probably you can guess where I am. I'm in the Sunday school room, which is really fun. And today, in this message and this week in church, it is In Gathering Sunday, and we're talking about change. And so one of the things that changed last year was that all of a sudden we couldn't be together in the building anymore. And we were all at our houses or in our apartments. And now something has changed again, and I'm able to be in the building, but I'm not able to be in the building with all of you. But I am able to be in the building with the Fat Seal. So that is awesome. I have a story to share with you today called Too Many Changes. And it's about, it takes place in the winter. So you can just imagine that we are back in winter mode, getting ready for our Christmas pageant. Gemma kicked a pile of melting snow, and the cold slush splattered her pants. She remembered how fluffy and white it had been. Why does snow have to melt? It gets all disgusting. Why can't it just stay beautiful and white all the time? The melting snow added to her already grumpy mood. Her grandmother always came to visit before Christmas, and they made cookies together. But this year, her trip was delayed. She wasn't going to be able to come until Christmas Day. Everything felt different, and Gemma walked all the way to her friend's house frowning and kicking slush piles. Her friend Miles answered the door and let her in. He wore a gold crown on his head, and he was smiling. Evan said I could be king, he said. Gemma was surprised. But you're supposed to be a shepherd. You're always a shepherd. They were both part of their church's nativity play or Christmas pageant. She had come over to Miles's house for the rehearsal that we often do here at the church with Bill. And Miles says, my shepherd costume doesn't fit me anymore. And I'm tall enough to be the king now. So I'm going to be a king, not a shepherd. But Gemma wasn't very happy about that. So they went over to the costume closet, and she saw the angel costume, and she started to smile because she said, I'm always an angel. And more people started to arrive for the rehearsal for the Christmas pageant. It was chaos. People were trying on their costumes and putting on their halos and angel wings and dressing up as animals, and maybe there were even some tigers. And Miles's parents had always been the ones who directed the play. But this year they had a new baby, so they were very, very busy. Evan was in charge instead. Evan suggested that Gemma, instead of being an angel, was the innkeeper. But she had always been the angel, and she didn't want to be something different than she was used to. When she put on the costume that she had previously worn and found out that it was too small, she started to cry. She dug through a pile of angel dresses and luckily was able to find one that fit her body. Her body is growing because she's getting older. They all got into their various costumes. And Miles stood back and looked at them all and said, you all look so wonderful. These are such great costumes and such great parts. And maybe next year we could switch parts. Interestingly, one of the kids in the group said, I won't be here next year. We're moving back to Germany. And Gemma was puzzled. She was confused why he didn't seem so sad that his life was about to change. Gemma said, I wish you could just stay here and things could be the same next year. Can't just one thing stay the same? How can you stay so calm? How can you stay so calm while life just changes all the time? And her frustration actually surprised Albert, who was the one moving back to Germany. He said, I like it here, but it's time to go back to Germany. And if I hadn't ever moved here, we wouldn't have been friends. So eventually all the costumes were decided. They sang beautifully, and they even learned how to sing Joy to the World in French. Gemma gave her costume, once she was finished, back to Miles's dad to hang up with the others. And then she remembered baby Jesus. They hadn't had the baby Jesus out. Every year, her favorite doll was used for the baby Jesus. So she ran over to tell Evan. And Evan said, thank you so much for offering that doll. But we actually decided that the parents with the new baby were going to use the new baby instead. So we're going to have a live baby Jesus for the Christmas pageant. Too upset to talk, Gemma went to the bedroom to get her coat. She was ready to go home. Albert saw the look on her face and said, Gemma, what's the matter? You wouldn't understand, she said. You like it when things change. Well, I don't. Everything is different. And I don't even want to be in this play if we're just going to go and change everything. Why can't just one thing stay the same? Actually, Albert said, I do understand. Last year, I was learning carols in French, and I felt like you. Everything felt totally different. But then I realized something very important. What? Gemma asked. I was singing Joy to the World, he said, in a totally different language. But inside, I still felt like me. I realized that everything on the outside could be totally different, but on the inside, things could be the same. Gemma thought about this idea while she walked home through the slushy snow. She thought about how her grandmother, even though she wasn't there yet, loved her, and how that was something that never changed. She realized that no matter when her grandmother came, the love would never change. Even when the snow melted, she and her grandmother would still love each other. They would love each other if Gemma was an angel or an innkeeper or a shepherd. There were actually some things that never changed. She might practice singing Joy to the World in French or English. She could teach it to her grandmother too. If she stayed in the play, she would have one last opportunity to do it with her friend Albert before he moved to Germany. And Miles, her friend, might be nervous about being king for the first time, but if she stayed in the play, she could support him. So she decided to stay the course, to do the play, to do the pageant, and to see what happened. And that is the end. So Gemma in this story is thinking about all that's changing and feeling overwhelmed and wishing things could just be the same. I feel like that all the time, and maybe you do too. I'm wondering if you've ever felt like you just wish things didn't have to change and they could stay the same. And I'm also wondering if there are things in your life that don't change, that perhaps always stay the same, maybe something inside of you. So I invite you to consider those questions this week and maybe talk about them with your kids, maybe talk about them with your grown-ups. Grown-ups, maybe talk about them with your kids. And I look forward to hearing what your thoughts are. Have a wonderful week and know that you are loved by the Elliott Church. All of us are wishing you our very best. Have a wonderful week, everyone.